Thanks for staying with us. Now, the ANC Gauteng is faced with a tricky situation as some members want the current chairperson in the province, Banyazile Sufi, to be named as the Premier as well. Currently, former chairperson David Makhura occupies that position. Let's get more as to what's really going on. We are joined by the ANC Joburg chairperson, Dada Morero. Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it. I think before we get into what's going on with the PEC and the discussions around the Premier, David Makhura, I want to speak about Vasco da Gama and him being removed as Speaker of Joburg Council. Why did you as the ANC feel as though he was not good enough?
Well, the ANC supported the motion as raised by the Pan-Africanist Congress on da Gama. And this is a result of, one, his inability to remain impartial in running council. Instead of becoming a Speaker of Council, he chose to be a Speaker of the DA, thus not recognizing other councillors as and when they want to raise their viewpoints, which also resulted into, at least since he took over, at least 3 meetings of council collapsed under his watch because of his arrogance, because of him not being interested to entertain other councillors. Secondly, the matter that the PAC had raised, which we are aware of, was the fact that he interfered in procurement processes in relation to the water sprinkler project, which was meant to be done just around the Chamber of Council in the garden, to an extent that he wanted to have a meeting with suppliers, which we find it very odd and wrong, especially for a councillor to get involved in those things. Thirdly, he announced around June that the acting secretary to council and introduced a new person without the authority of council, and tried whatever tricks he could in his book to enforce the seconded secretary to council. When council had approved the acting secretary to council until the 6th of September. So we find that as undermining the authority of council, because every work he does is actually delegated by council. So those are some of the issues that the ANC felt, yes, it was necessary to support this motion, and all our 91 councillors were present in council, and of course voted in support of the motion.
I want to speak about what this is showing in terms of coalitions within the city, and many would say that these parties cannot work together. Yourselves, the ANC, the EFF, the DA, whatever other party, it just seems as though there cannot be one aim to provide the services to the people of the city of Joburg. What would you say this image portrays? You've already moved the Speaker of Council. How are things going to look going forward?
It demonstrates the arrogance of the DA. We ran a successful coalition for 2 years, which never collapsed, because we understood that everyone in the coalition is equal, because no one has won elections. So we have to treat ourselves as equal. Now, the current situation demonstrates that the DA is actually arrogant even within its partners, and hence some of their partners decided to vote in support of the motion, precisely because the DA has demonstrated to be very arrogant and not being able to allow even its partners to be full participants in the coalition arrangement. So of course, if it's a DA-led coalition, it will not survive because of their attitude, because of their arrogance and their bullying tactics. We ourselves as the ANC, for 2 years until the 1st of November last year, we had a successful coalition arrangement which delivered on a number of service delivery issues, and we can mention them because we were consistent in the work that we're doing. We focused on a road and stormwater development in Orange Farm, which went very, very well, until recently that the DA is not wanting to budget for it. So basically it's about the arrogance of the DA. That is why they will never be able to manage a coalition in Gauteng.
Okay, I want to speak about the future of Johannesburg, and with the current mayor, Latse, there are rumors that you are gunning for that position, that you want to be the mayor of the city of Johannesburg. What is your response to that?
Well, perhaps we need to put it into proper context. The motion against the mayor was actually forwarded to the programming committee by the African Independent Congress, and unfortunately the motion did not comply in terms of the legal requirements as the council would require. Though in fact it was wrong for Councillor of the Action SA, Councillor Ngobeni, to suggest that the motion did not comply, because the motion was saying the mayor did not disclose to council that there's a criminal case against him. But Ngobeni was able to twist it and suggest that Mashaba had opened a case on the matter, and the matter is in court. And when inquiring with the High Court, it became clear that the case is a dormant case. In essence, there was no case. He just opened the case and it ended up there. He took the matter to court, but nothing has happened. Now, the ANC as an organization, once a motion against Mayor Palatsi succeeds, the ANC will make a decision who will become the mayor candidate for the ANC. Currently, I'm basically a chair of the ANC in Greater Johannesburg, and the ANC will come to a conclusion. And that decision will not only be left to the ANC, it will also be left to a discussion with other parties within Johannesburg that will form part of the partners of the ANC, because we do not think the ANC would want to be arrogant in this case, because none of us has won elections. We might have more seats, but we have not won elections. So it is our responsibility as the ANC to engage with our partners on how do they see the future of Johannesburg in terms of who should be the candidate taking us forward.
Okay, let's move over to this PC meeting with regards to the future of Premier David Makhura. You know, the possibility of him remaining as Premier is being questioned at this stage. What was the final decision? We know that our reporter who's out in Dalmas with the president saying he's aware that there are talks to remove Premier David Makhura as a Premier of Gauteng. Maybe take us into your confidence.
No, well, there
and
was
tell
a
us what's
clear
going on.
instruction at the PEC yesterday that no one will engage with the media. In this case, the only people who will be allowed to engage with the media on this matter is the provincial chairperson, Panyaza Lesufi, and our provincial secretary, TK. Those are the two comrades who are responsible to engage with the media. All of us, as members of the PEC, were given a clear instruction to desist on engaging on the matter with the media. And that's what we can report at this stage. But the relevant people, as I said, is Comrade Panyaza, who I think is available on the phone to speak to you or to even come to the studio. But yes, the PEC has had discussion, the PwC has had discussions on how do we move forward as Gauteng on the change of leadership. So that matter, yes, was on the table. However, we cannot discuss the contents.
So you cannot tell me whether a decision was made about Premier David Makhura?
No, it's not within my competence to do so. It's the competence of the provincial chair and the provincial secretary.
Okay, I want us to speak about the possibility of the Premier being removed as the Premier, David Makhura being removed as the Premier heading up to 2024 elections. And many would say that question the legacy of Premier David Makhura. Many associate the failure of removing e-tolls with the Premier, life Esidimeni, a number of issues that have really taken this province, taken it quite back. I want to speak about the legacy of the Premier, and I want to speak, just let me finish my question, and I want to speak about heading up to 2024 and how the ANC in this province is going to find a way to regain the trust of voters.
Well, the province is currently engaged in a program called the Letsema program, which is a program that we do every Friday, going to communities, doing all sorts of things, engaging with them, engaging with business, local business, engaging with schools, engaging with every sector in society, with an intention to regain the trust of communities, secondly, to reconnect with our communities. And of course, it's a program aimed at us performing better in the 2024 elections. So that's what we are focused on. In terms of the issues around e-toll, as you know, it's not just a provincial competence, it's a national issue, and we've been engaging since. And the ANC in the province did take a resolution that e-tolls should be scrapped, and that discussion then had to be taken with the national leadership of the ANC and national government to assist. And I think a few months ago, Minister Mbalula did say that there will be an announcement before the end of the year in terms of the future of e-tolls. So that matter will be addressed quite soon, as Mbalula has made a commitment to that effect. It will be incorrect to say that in the last 5 years, province has not been able to do its work. There's quite a number of things that has happened. Now recently we have passed the township economic bill, which is doing well. In fact, we have seen the MEC of economy, Comrade Parkstow, being all over the townships, ensuring that the businesses are able to exist and are functioning properly with the support of government. I mean, there's a number of things that they are doing there in relation to township economy, which will see a number of entrepreneurs emerging in the township. And what is most importantly is products that will be produced and be manufactured in the townships that we're beginning to see. You know, I visited an area in Tokosa, in the East End, where they're already producing Morero, locally produced, and it's being sold in all the tuck shops or spaza shops in the area, produced by a person from that area and supported by government, which I think is going to help us change the ownership of the economy and the attitude of our people towards engaging with the economy. So there's quite a number of things that we can always refer to on the work that Gauteng has done. Of course, life as Esidimeni remains an unfortunate situation that has happened in the province, but I think there are solutions that we would have to find which are sustainable so that it does not repeat itself. But it is also important to note that private sector who are in the health space or the health sector should also help us ensure that these things do not happen again. And they also should contribute positively towards ensuring
which they are doing, Mr. Morero. If we're really being honest, at the end of the day, if the ANC is ruling in this province and the ANC is in charge, they should do their work. For example, I'll give you an example. Yesterday I got into an argument with somebody from the DA actually saying to me that it's the citizens' responsibility to report when things are not working, but it's your job to do your job and see what's not working in the city and fix that. So it's not right to say that the private sector should play their role, which they are doing. At the end of the day, life Esidimeni happened under the ANC's watch.
No. Remember what I'm trying to say to you is that the private sector itself should be part and parcel of helping us find solutions. It should not be government and the private sector. If you remember how this thing panned out, was that the private sector had a particular view because they had a contract. They were running this contract of life Esidimeni for some time. So they must be able to work with government. It should not be government and them. Basically, that's what I'm saying on this matter. And it's an unfortunate situation that we took decisions as government, and unfortunately the rollout and the implementation of the program had a number of problems, which resulted, of course, in some of the people passing on, which we could have handled better. But we also expect that private sector should contribute towards handling these matters and not be the ones that see government as a problem. Because if you look at life Esidimeni, the private sector saw government as a problem instead of them helping government with proposals, suggestions, so that this matter is handled much better. Okay. So in fact, that's why the ANC is of the view that projects in Gauteng, some of them were bigger projects, needs to take a view of triple P, where you have the private sector and the public sector coming together to ensure that we implement this thing. And perhaps closing on this matter is to bring the district development model, which we think it will help us to manage and harness resources into one, different resources from different spheres of government and the private sector, put them together and be able to do projects that are sustainable, of course, in the interest of the people of Gauteng.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time. We do
Thank
appreciate
you so
it. Thank you for coming through and speaking to us. I was hoping I'd get a response with regards to Premier David Makhura, but I guess I'll ring up the chairperson, Panyaza Lesufi. Thank you so much for your time. That was Dada Morero.